Hey guys, welcome to my channel. Today we're going to be talking about a book that is not about the Titanic, but was written in 1898. And this book I'm about to talk about is called Futility, The Wreck of the Titans. The author of this book was named Morgan Robertson, an American author for short stories and novels. This book is very interesting because it prophesies the Titanic. Everything in this book is almost exactly how Titanic sank, how it looked, and how big it was. And in this video, I'm going to talk about how many of the things they got right in this book and how eerily close it is to the Titanic itself. The first thing I want to talk about is the name itself of the ship. It was called the Titan, which is very close to the name of Titanic, which caught me by surprise when I first stumbled upon this book. The second thing I want to talk about is on page 1, chapter 1, where it says that the Titan is the largest ship afloat at the time and the greatest work of men. This is also the same as Titanic, also to be said to be the largest ship at the time. It was also said on the Titan that they had 2 orchestras to entertain the passengers during the waking hours. So did the Titanic, one for first class and one for second class, and most people believe that the Titanic only had one. During the final sinkings of the Titanic, the 2 orchestras came together to form one band to play for the passengers. On page 2 of The Wreck of the Titan, it states that it had 19 watertight compartments that could be closed in half a minute by turning a lever. These doors would also close automatically in the presence of water, and as no known accident of the sea could possibly fill this many, the steamship Titanic was considered practically unsinkable. Now I know that the Titanic actually had 16 watertight compartments, but the fact that they would actually mention watertight compartments and how it was virtually unsinkable really startles me. On the same page, it says, built of steel throughout, she was 800 feet long. This really surprises me because the Titanic was 882 feet long, only 82 more feet than the Titan itself. It also states that it is a floating city, same as the Titanic as it was called. It also states that there were 24 lifeboats on board of the Titan. The Titanic had 20 in all, only 4 less than the Titan. It also says because the law required it, each of the 3,000 berths in the passengers, officers, and crew's quarters contained a cork jacket. Same to Titanic, exactly 3,000 lifebelts on board, or life jackets. On page 3 of the book, it states that if the Titan was ever on a collision course with another craft, that it would suddenly destroy the other craft, even at half speed, and perhaps damage her own bow. It also states that at full speed, she would cut her in two with no more damage to herself than a paintbrush could remedy. Now this is very fascinating because during World War I, the sister ship of Titanic, the Olympic, was made into a military craft, and during the war, it spotted a submarine in the water spying it, and it did the exact same thing as the Titan said would happen if the Titanic would have hit a craft on its way. On page 3, it states that the steamship Titan would land her passengers 3,000 miles away. Now this was the same planned distance as the Titanic had, which was 3,150 miles, over the Atlantic Ocean. They were bound from New York from England, which is even more fascinating since the Titan was going from New York to somewhere in England. It's only reverse for both ships. It was stated on the Titan that it carried 2,000 passengers, not including crew. Now, with the Titanic, it was stated that the Titanic had 2,000 people in all, which means that the Titan was carrying more people than the Titanic, but still very close to the number. On one of the very last paragraphs of page 3, it says that it was April, as it quotes right here, for though it was April, the salt air was chilly. Some paced the deck, acquiring their sea legs. Others listened to the orchestra in the music room, or read or wrote in the library, and a few took to their berths. So this is very interesting because it was April 14th when Titanic struck the iceberg and April 15th when it sunk. A little further later on page 8, chapter 3, it says on the first paragraph that there was a continuous vibration of the engines on the Titan, which is the same as the Titanic. Although on this part of the book it does not hit the iceberg, it hits a small ship, it does reflect a lot of the actions that were taken by the crew on Titanic when it saw the iceberg. But on Titan, it actually hit a boat, and then later it will hit an iceberg. But the events that happened in this sequence, it happened exactly as Titanic did when it hit the iceberg. It says right here that the first officer had just taken its watch. So had the officer on the Titanic, the first officer, William Murdoch. He had just taken his shift and had just relieved Second Officer Lightoller of his duties. And it also says on page 10 that 2 bells were struck and answered, then 3, which means that the lookouts had actually rang the bells 3 times, same as the Titanic. And right here on another paragraph on the same page, it says that the first officer told a quartermaster at the wheel which way to turn, same as Titanic. On board the Titanic, the first officer told Robert Hitchens, a quartermaster, to turn the wheel to hard to starboard, which is the same ordeal that happens on board the Titan, as it says that a quartermaster at the helm who answers and obeyed. It also states that nothing could be seen from the bridge yet, which was very, very close to what they say on board Titanic. And it also says that there was hardly a crash, a slight jar shook the forward end of the Titan. Same as the Titanic, where it says that many of the passengers did not even feel the collision, mostly in first class. It also states throughout the book that the Titan was going 25 knots. The Titanic was going 24, which is very close to the speed that both of them were going. It also said that it was a bright star-speckled side, and that it was so chilly that the last talkative passenger had fled to the light and life within, which is very interesting, which is the same as Titanic. Now, during the time of the collision, around page 26, I could not find that many references to Titanic, but one thing I did find was that the first officer ran to the engine room telegraph, and this time the lever was turned, as it states, which is the same on Titanic. Another thing that I found during reading it, I found that it stated that once it hit the iceberg and was sinking, it said that it rose higher and higher out of the sea until the propellers in the stern were half exposed, exactly as Titanic. Although the stern rose higher and higher, it does state that afterwards it does capsize, which is not like the Titanic. Anyways, this is all I could find for this video. If you guys want to check out the book for yourself, it's at the Internet Archives. You can download it for free if you want to. The book is very interesting, and it prophesies the Titanic even before the Titanic was built. So I find this book very interesting. Thank you so much for watching this video. I've really enjoyed making this video with you guys. I hope you guys enjoy it because I really did.